Today is a community Q&A. We're talking about 2K23, 2K24, and things we might want in there, AEW Fight Forever, and WWE as a whole. Let's get started. The Big Dog 15 says, do you think that Seth Rollins will fight against Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40? I hope it will be a winner-take-all title unification match. Yes, the Big Dog is better than the Tribal Chief. Controversy, my friend. Maybe. There's a possibility that Seth could take on Roman if they keep elevating Seth. I kind of feel like it's still going to be Cody's story. He's got to finish the story. I mean, right now you can argue that LA Knight is even bigger right now, daddy. But yeah, I feel like the order of things is like Cody, maybe The Rock to have the title match at WrestleMania, and then Seth. Seth's a great option because of the history between the two of them. Seth has beaten the Tribal Chief, but by disqualification, the Tribal Chief retains. There's so much story they can mine from, and I think they do need to revisit that. If things don't pan out with Cody over the next several months, Seth is definitely a viable option, but Cody is still supremely over. They haven't really botched anything yet when it comes to his story, so I still think it's going to be Cody. Javi writes in and says, why hasn't an AEW Fight Forever / No Mercy gameplay with 2K graphics been done yet? Like, give me No Mercy with Universe Mode, War Games, Elimination Chamber, and I'm good for life. Javi, I totally agree. I don't know why nobody would want to do this. I think it's because they typically just have directions like 2K or AEW games. They have a specific vision in mind. 2K wants to go for the simulation experience for players, and so they want to get that photorealistic look for the wrestlers. They're putting huge budgets behind it, but I'm kind of the same as you. Right now with Fight Forever and the 2K series, I'm almost like, could you just mash them together, please? Could I get that No Mercy gameplay and then just sprinkle in the Universe Mode, the MyGM experiences, a road to WrestleMania, and I'm good. What I like to see from 2K, because I think it would be more possible from them, is giving us a smaller game experience, giving us something like a Here Comes the Pain 2.0, something more stripped down, but giving us those fun experiences. Young Boy says, who do you think will win their first world title this year or in the coming year? Dominic Mysterio, LA Knight, yeah, or Braun Breaker. Dom, I don't see winning a title. If the US title was on Raw, I could see them giving it to Dom. LA Knight, because he didn't win Money in the Bank, he's supremely over. They gotta do something with the title. I think that you get LA Knight the US title at, say, SummerSlam, and then see how he does from there. Austin Theory is doing nothing with the US title, so I definitely think that you could slide in LA Knight. It shows the fans that WWE is serious about LA Knight and they want bigger things for him. And then let him battle it out, turn him completely face and just run with the US title for 6 months. Braun Breaker, I think, needs to get up to the main roster, and maybe they do that with the Royal Rumble. When he made that little tiny appearance on Monday Night Raw backstage, he was talking all quiet, it was subtle, he was dressed more black, he was being a heel. I actually really like that version of Braun Breaker. Instead of him just being a Steiner, yeah, I like that Braun was taking a more subtle approach, and we had the match between Seth and Braun on NXT. You could bring him up to main roster and he could be a viable contender to go up against Gunther after Gunther breaks the Honky Tonk Man record, obviously. Right now, I'd say LA Knight, dummy. David B. Robinson says, do we need another Evolution / Mae Young Classic in order to properly build the women's tag division? It's an interesting question because the women's tag division is very much all over the place. Ronda and Shayna just had their big split. You got Raquel and Liv in there. Chelsea and Sonya Deville are very, very fun to watch. Kaden Carter and Katana Chance just got called up from NXT. They have some teams, but with WWE, it always feels like tag teams in general are always just thrown together wrestlers that they then makeshift teams for, and the women's tag division is something that desperately needs a shot in the arm if they really want to focus on it. It can be great. I think they should bring back an Evolution pay-per-view, period, because I think it was a wild success. And even if you don't want to give it a full pay-per-view or they don't feel like there's enough to warrant it, make it a whole special version of SmackDown and just say that Friday Night SmackDown is going to be an Evolution pay-per-view essentially for 2 hours. You bring in everyone from NXT to WWE Raw and SmackDown, and then you could even bring in some unsigned free agents to give them some spotlight. The Evolution pay-per-view, the idea of that was very, very good. I really liked the show. There's a ton of talent across WWE on the women's side that you could just spearhead the whole show around. But you need months and months and months of building credible tag teams in order to get it to work. Sean Rajay says, do you feel that we will get a creation suite at some point in Fight Forever? Maybe. Fight Forever's creation suite is extremely limited. It doesn't offer a lot for players to create an arena or to create a wrestler. Now, Fight Forever is planning to patch and update creation suite elements for the creator wrestler. They have confirmed this, so we will see patches along the way. I feel they do need to get to a point where they are going to inject an online component when it comes to creations, so I can be able to upload, download images, people for rosters, creations, because people are already doing fun creations even though the system is completely limited. So if they can really broaden the entire scope of the creation suite over time, maybe they will start to introduce an online component. One basic thing I want them to do right now in Fight Forever is to be able to do an image uploader so that I can upload a logo for WWE Raw and make that arena as best I can with the limited options I have. Safe Haven Channel says, if you could add one create mode to AEW Fight Forever and one to 2K24, what would they be? For Fight Forever, I'd say somewhat of an easy one. Create a championship. AEW has a lot of titles, has a lot of belts. And without a create a championship, again, we're very limited to this game. They could put in a very basic create a championship mode in there, much like create an arena, put in all the exact same textures and details in there, and let us just make a couple of different designs, upload a couple of different logos, looks, templates, so that we can create new updated titles that are in AEW, or try to recreate some stuff from WWE. So I go with title creator. 2K24, I think an obvious one is create a story. People have asked for a story designer, story creator for years for them to bring it back. If 2K24 did this would be massive fan service. I don't think they will. I think they are more focused on keeping the core modes they have, like My GM and Universe mode, and just tweaking and making those better year over year. Universe mode specifically, I think because the way it's designed now with the rivalry action system, that's kind of their way of saying, here is your story designer. You have Universe mode, which is your sandbox, giving you more freedom, and you're trying to create these different rivalry actions that you can control over the whole list that they have. But story designer, a specific one where I can create these stories, download them like we could back in the day, where I can go into the community creations and just download someone's entire story they did for Evolution and DX and whatever. They're so much fun. People make very serious stories online. They also make some goofy stuff. So I like having that option with a story designer. Rain's House. What modes do you like and dislike on Fight Forever? I like the lights out match. It's just a standard one-on-one match, but because of the freedom of the weapons and everything, thumbtacks, that mode I always kind of go back to, that match type. Match type I dislike, or mode I dislike? I mean, the story mode is okay, the career mode, but it's very limited. So not that I dislike the story mode, I just feel like it doesn't have enough depth. I know that there are branching things that can happen, different story elements as you replay it, but it is still very limited. So I guess I would give the dislike to the story mode, the career mode. Reigns also follows up and says, and who do you think will be the main star on 2K24? What modes do you want to see return 2K24? Loaded question, my friend. For main roster star on 2K24, if you mean cover star, I'm gonna guess it's Cody Rhodes. That would be my first guess right away. What modes do I want to see return? I don't really need any more modes. We just talked about story designer would be cool, but I don't think it would happen. I don't think we get any new modes. One mode I would want to see back, Road to WrestleMania. Give me 5 story options to select and just have some fun with it in like a 2-hour batched story that's already predetermined, from a legend story like a Randy Orton to Stone Cold Steve Austin, Trish Stratus. Then give me like a creation one as well to throw in there. And then you got enough variety for people. So if anything, for modes, I want to see Road to WrestleMania. James asks, what would you like to see added in AEW Fight Forever? And what do you think of 2K wrestling games as a whole? James, it's a fantastic question. There are a lot of fixes and tweaks I want to see to Fight Forever. We'll do a future video on that, by the way, this week. I think right now off the bat, I'd like to see them expand match types. Work with the basic template they have, but just tweak and modify what's already in there. Because I'm trying not to be like, I want blood and guts, because I don't think that's going to happen. But within what we already have, I want more options for one-on-one matches. I want tag team ladder matches. Throw a tables match in there, fix the table physics, for example. So basic match types, I want them to rework right now. Give me a gauntlet match, give me a handicap match, stuff that I've had 25 years ago. The 2K games as a whole, I do enjoy. I play them every year. I cover them here on the channel. It's a whole bloody thing we do here. So I do enjoy them a lot. And I think the last 2 have shown that they are growing and they're going in the right direction. 2K20 was a debacle. 2K19 is highly regarded because, well, we had no choice because we had 2K20, so everyone went back to 19. But they keep improving things bit by bit. And I do like the fact that with the 2K series today, they're doing more substantial updates and patches after the game has been released. They're still supporting it. There's still a ton of things that need to get fixed that are not good, but there's enough in there where I'm like, this is the premier wrestling experience you're gonna get, despite it having a lot of flaws when it comes to universe mode, when it comes to GM mode. The creation suite has issues as well, but I think good. And I can't really see another developer right now stepping in that I would say they would do a phenomenal job if they just picked up the series. So I'm okay with it right now. Rain Dragon says, so having played AW Fight Forever now and honestly really enjoying it, do you think that the model will work and be competitive in the gaming market? Since this is kind of what we have wanted from 2K for like ever when it comes to new items being dropped as a season patch. This is probably one thing I do hope 2K learns from Fight Forever that they can adopt next year or the year after, is go with the season approach model for additional content. I don't feel like Fight Forever today, with the season 1 DLC that's announced that's coming out, I don't think it provides enough value for the dollar. I think it's overpriced right now, and I don't think that there is enough value in there where you're getting 2 wrestlers and mini games, that's it. So it needs to do a lot more in the coming seasons as they release it. But I like the model. I like that we could go in and maybe cherry pick and just download and buy individual wrestlers. I wish 2K would go for more of a platform experience of just say, here is WWE 2K Live, and that's the game. And they build off of it for 2 or 3 years before they release the next game overall. And they support it with DLC, huge patches. They add match types, they add arenas and shows and all this stuff. And they make it this living, breathing thing instead of annualizing it. That's the main thing I wish 2K would take from Fight Forever. They won't, because annualizing the releases makes them a lot of money. Ock2K1 says, do you think 2K will snag some stuff from Fight Forever for 2K24? I'm loving the crowd sounds and the windowed entrances. Also hoping for the return of Creative Finisher. This kind of plays off the last one. I hope that 2K learns some stuff from Fight Forever. I quite honestly hope that they look at it and say, there's a huge audience for an arcade casual style game or mode. Maybe allowing within the 2K game to go from a simulation experience to a full out arcade by just flicking it to arcade mode. And maybe it just puts us in a whole other menu where there's maybe fewer match types, fewer options, but it makes the gameplay feel like a very casual arcadey experience. I like the idea of having the cash to build up the cash to then get the unlockables. We have a little bit of that with the virtual currency, but I never feel like it's a priority in the game for 2K. Crowd sounds is a good one because 2K, and the problem I have there, one of them is the crowd. Yeah, go get them. All right. All of the lines that are just regurgitated over and over again. 2K, I feel they can learn from Fight Forever by giving us better crowd noises, get us more engaging crowd noises, get us more larger sounds, make it sound more like an arena, capture more lines from the crowd themselves, from a live audience, make it sound bigger and more impactful, or when someone's music plays for the entrance, the crowd is sounding like it's going nuts. It's a huge part of wrestling. The whole crowd is. So I think that if they added and focused more on audio, it can go a long way. Capture more sounds from real crowds, put it into the game, more chance, and make it work in the system somehow where when big moves happen or large moments, the crowd truly reacts as best you can. That's something that I always feel is limited within the 2K games. And KO Artist writes in and says, my question is, would it be possible to see the return of tired pins where you drop to the ground and crawl to the cover or fall onto the other person, then cover? We'd love to see this added in 2K23 or added to 2K24. I definitely think so. In fact, it's one of my early predictions for one of the next patches that we see this year. We're seeing the tired finisher motions come back, and they keep adding it with the last 2 patches. This tells me that they are kind of working towards this. More moves are being added with the tired, exhausted finisher animation. The thing that they're missing is to be able to do a Batista bomb and then crawl over to get the cover and the pin. I love that motion and that detail in the game because it adds more drama. Playing a long Iron Man match and you do a sweet chin music and you have to crawl over to get the cover to get a pin and he kicks out. It does so much for the match and momentum and the feel of it, and you're more engaged with it. And it gets more simulated versus just doing a finisher and everyone gets up. So I think it's possible. It could still be a big thing they could add in a patch this year instead of waiting for next year overall. Thanks everybody that submitted questions for this week. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.